Yes, 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 yes. Welcome to another episode. Well, actually, the very first installment of the Hot Minutia. I am Barry Long, the second, not the first, not the third. I am the second. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on Coachella Valley, today's California.com. We are also live on today's Canada.com. We are live on today's California. We are live everywhere. We're live all over the Twitterverse, all over the metaverse, all over the universe. I'm Barry Long II. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes. Rudy, how you doing, boss?
I'm feeling hot like the minutia, baby. We're about to stir up in this pot.
Yeah, man. We about to stir some stuff up right now. So this is the same show, same concept. We are just changing the name to the Hot Minutia, making it something that's a little bit more us. You know what I mean? And minutia, what minutia means is the most precise, intricate, most delicate details. Okay, down to the minutia. And that's what we do right here on the Hot Minutia. We break down everything down to the details. So we want you guys to comment. We still have all your comments are welcome. We will bring them up. We'll pop them up. We expect you to be commenting, Bill Cinso. But we are going to break down some minutia that happened today, man. There was a lot of hot minutia going on today within the NFL.
Around, man. Are you kidding me? You got to duck and cover just to get away from that minutia. I'm telling you. The stuff was on fire.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Free agency friendly.
We woke up, or some of us went to bed. Some of us woke up to the news that Tom Brady is unretiring. He will be playing quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting next season. So that is very exciting. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Amari Cooper was traded to the Cleveland Browns, and they are also possibly or expected to be releasing Jarvis Landry. Also, we saw a move that, Rudy, I know you're a Steelers fan. This is a big move for you guys. The Steelers are going to sign Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year deal. We'll talk about that. Get Rudy's thoughts on that, because I know Rudy has a lot to say about that. They've been looking for a quarterback, and seems like they found one. So we'll talk about that as well. We'll also talk a little bit of basketball. We saw LeBron James drop another 50-point game, his second one as a player that's after turning 35. He's going to be the first NBA player to ever accomplish that feat. We will also talk about the Nets, who were fined $50,000 for allowing Kyrie Irving into the locker room. But first and foremost, let's talk about it. The King, Tom Brady, is back. Hold on. We got a comment already. Elizabeth Elvert Curtis says, too fun. Thanks for sharing. That is exciting. Well, we appreciate you for coming on. The Hot Minutia.
Good stuff, baby. Just add to the pot.
All right, so
the minutia is stirring right now.
Yeah, all right. But before we get into Tom Brady, hold on. I forgot. I cannot open up the sports show without talking about this legendary wrestler, Scott Hall, also known as Razor Ramon in the past. He has passed away. He had 3 heart attacks. We heard about him. He's a legendary legend in the WWE, WWF, WCW. He had many different names. He was a member of the Wolfpack. He was a member of the New World Order with WCW. He was a member of the Wolfpack. Him and Kevin Nash in the NWO, the Outsiders. He was also a solo wrestler way back in the day, as he's pictured right here as Razor Ramon. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and we knew that he had a lot of issues related to substance abuse and just related to all the harsh years that he's lived on this earth. But he has passed away at the age of 63. It was announced yesterday that his family was going to remove him from life support. One of my favorite wrestlers. Just want to say that, wrestling was not considered a sport. It was considered an entertainment. But he was one of the guys that really, really put it on the map. And it was just so much fun to watch him throughout the years and to follow his career. And it's just so sad to see it end on a day like today.
He was 65 years old. I mean, the guy has been around the block, or I should say the ring, quite a few times, has battled probably some of the best. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ooh. I mean, you name it. Yes, I know. The big stumpy guy carrying around the 2x4 on his shoulder, walking around, giving everybody the salute. Yeah. He's remembered for just being one of those very nice and likable characters. And even though he didn't play one on TV very well, he was endeared by millions, those that do support. So my condolences to him and his family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's get into it. Tom Brady, he kind of messed up everybody's mind with this one. He came back. Now we knew that Tom Brady is widely considered as the GOAT, the greatest of all time to play the quarterback position. He has 7 rings, more rings than any NFL franchise has. total. And he also has been there 10 times. And he did go to Tampa Bay and win a Super Bowl in the first year that he was there. And people want to follow him. And he has set the precedence and set the tone for what it is to be a franchise quarterback, a leader of men. And now that he has retired for 40 days, he just came out and announced that he will be returning to NFL action. And this shakes up a lot of stuff in the NFC, particularly. We knew that the Rams were going to come back almost as strong, if not just as strong as they did last season. They have a couple of decisions to make, one in Von Miller, one in Odell Beckham Jr. We see that the Green Bay Packers are coming back with Aaron Rodgers. They look like they're going to be just as formidable as they were last year if they can figure out whether or not they're going to have their main quarterback. I mean, their main running back, their main wide receiver, Devontae Adams, whether or not he's going to play under the franchise tag or whether or not they're going to be able to re-sign him for a long-term contract deal. But this puts Tampa Bay right back in the thick of things, and they look like they might end up in the Super Bowl again. And was this news to you, Rudy, when you woke up and saw that Tom Brady was coming back? Were you surprised at all?
There was nothing surprising about this, and here's why. The biggest winner, there were actually there was one big winner, one big loser. The big winner in this was Ben Roethlisberger. Why? Because he retired, and he didn't have to worry about Tom Brady trying to take over the Super Bowl and not being overshadowed, now allowing him to almost have first ballot access to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's who Ben Roethlisberger wanted to be. With Tom Brady, they screwed everything up for him. And, of course, would be filled with New England Patriots fans. And, of course, obviously some had Tom Brady stay retired. But the last quarterback that decided to unretire was, at least the worst performing one, was Brett Favre. We see him come back as a Minnesota Vikings QB. Absolutely just destroyed every ounce of candor that was left. I mean, there were all the tears that had been cried for Brett Favre when they left the giant tundra. It was they were all dried up at that point. So if Tom Brady comes back, hopefully he gets the nod. I hope Tom Brady is able to get them at least to the NFC Championship game. And if he doesn't get to the Super Bowl, well, then so be it. But this is an easy buy for people that have been following Tom Brady, whether or not they were New England fans and obviously had now flipped the script to be Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans. Knowing he's going to be back is an easy sell because Tom Brady's back under center. But the biggest loser, you've heard of the show, right? The biggest loser?
The biggest loser,
the biggest loser is the guy who was selling the football for $581,000. That ball instantly became deflated. Sound familiar? Now deflated. And now it's $100,000 is what it was. And he ultimately just closed it and said, well, this isn't the last football that Tom Brady's going to throw. That's the biggest loser in all of this. But I guess the biggest issue that I have with Tom Brady is, well, I don't really have one. Welcome back, Tom Brady.
How could you have an issue with Tom Brady? I mean, we kind of knew that when he retired that he was going to probably unretire at some point. The only thing is that Tom Brady's never been a guy who's been considered indecisive whatsoever. Not with the football in his hands when he's in the pocket. I mean, he gets rid of that thing faster than anybody else. I mean, he's the most decisive guy when he's thought out this whole retirement. It took him a while to think it about it, to think it out, and to really come out and say it. We had reports from certain guys that are insiders that came out and said Tom Brady is going to retire, and it was early, it was premature. And Tom Brady's family and him came out and they were against that. They kind of pushed back on it a little bit until Tom Brady actually did retire. But there was probably a 50-50 chance that he would retire in a lot of people's minds until it got later and later on into this retirement. Now, we have a meme of the day that we're going to put up later. But I thought, you know what, let's just do it right now because this is what a lot of people were thinking. Now, this comes from COLB. It says Tom Brady was with his wife and kids for 2 months, and he decided he'd rather get attacked by 340-pound linemen and running 4.7 40-yard dashes than to spend time with them. A lot of people thought, oh, man, when you retire, you start spending time with the wife and the kids. It's not what you thought. So a lot of people
it can be really heavy. It can be really heavy. Now, think about this. Prior to Giselle saying, I do, she had to have known in his heart of hearts, because he's a quarterback out of Michigan, didn't have a greatest draft, was considered to be very out of shape, very slanky, carried a chip on his shoulder throughout his starting years there in New England. And of course, we see.
Did
Drew
you call him
Bledsoe going
Slinky?
down.
Now that's
Slinky.
like I've never heard of anybody calling him Slinky, but he is very slinky. That's a great way to
very slinky. Very
like
slinky.
a slinky. Yeah. I get it.
One thing he did do well, and he continues to do well, was throw that rock. And once you know how to throw that rock, that will never leave you. But Giselle had to know that Tom Brady's first love was not her.
Yeah.
It's football.
It's football. And it's what's driven him to become so successful. It's what's driven him to put in the work year after year, to put in so much money into his body, to go this distance as far as he has. Playing football at this age, it's just an incredible feat. And for him to be doing it at such a high level, the only thing that I worry about is that, I worry about quality of life later on in life for Tom Brady. He wants to play golf. He wants to be able to be out there and coach his kids and, go out there and run around with his kids. And all it takes is one hit in the NFL. So I just hope that
he wants to run it back. He wants to run it back. There's no guarantee he's going to actually get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no guarantee.
But he does have a pretty damn good supporting cast. He has a pretty damn good coaching staff, and he's very familiar with them. They're familiar with him. And I look for them in an open NFC this year because of the we don't know what's going to happen with up there in Green Bay with the number one wide receiver in the league, Mr. Adams, and we don't really know what's going to happen with Odell Beckham Jr. and some of the other pieces with the Rams. So I think that there are like 3 or 4 teams at the NFC that have an actual shot, but this certainly puts Tampa Bay right back in the driver's seat. We are the Hot Minutia. I am Barry Long II. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes. We are a sports show that tackles all interactive sports topics and events going on. We would love for you to comment, much like Kimbersha. She says, me too. So fun. Friend and boyfriend. Okay. We don't know who's. I'm not a friend
in what order. I don't know what order that is actually in, but whatever order you wanted to sit in, Elizabeth.
Shout out to Kimbersha. That's all I can say.
No matter what. That's it. Bottom line to that one. Speaking of longevity, and we're going to kind of switch gears here because I want to talk about LeBron James, and I know we were going to talk about that at the end, but I really wanted to bring this up.
Let's bring it up because it does compare.
Absolutely, it does have comparables because LeBron James is 35 years old. He's still putting up 50 burgers. I mean, we're talking with the works. We're talking onions and pickles. I mean, the guy just keeps loading it up. I'm not a fan of onions, but it is what it is. Or when I go to restaurants, I say no cebolla. And I'm good like that. But he puts over $1 million into his body every single year. And that's one thing that LeBron James will always be known for is his conditioning, his mindset, his attitude, his drive. Look, his team stinks. Okay, bottom line. His team stinks up the joint almost every time they get out to play, whether it's being blown out by Phoenix or being blown out by the New Orleans Pelicans. It doesn't matter to him. He's still going to go out and ball and show his worth. And this is his highlight reel because, again, they could very well buy out LeBron James' contract at the end of it. It's all said and done. And LeBron James could go somewhere else and ultimately play with Bronny. Again, that's speculative at best. However, we do know that LeBron James is at his physical peak. But one wrong move, one wrong positioning, one wrong leap, knee jerk, you name it, he will not be in it. He's going to be out of it and forever. So what quality of life will he have after it's all said and done? Probably similar to Tom Brady's. But I'll tell you what they're both going to do. Check each other's double ARP cards to make sure that when they get into that retirement facility, that they're both who they say they are, because we know identity, theft is at an all-time high. Right? You do that for 65 years or older. I don't know. But, regardless of that, LeBron James has just been doing it time in and time out again and again and again. And he continues to set that standard. These guys are both GOATs. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Between looking at what Tom Brady's done with 7 Lombardis, one more than his old franchise used to play for the New England Patriots, and one less than the Pittsburgh Steelers, the only teams that currently have two six packs apiece, per se.
And I love the fact that you compared LeBron to Tom Brady, because when I'm watching this news break, the Tom Brady news break, it breaks right after we find out the 2 games that LeBron drops 50. So it's kind of like, the first thought that went through my head was Tom Brady goes, okay, oh man, you think you're still performing at the highest level at this age? Then I can do the same thing. And this will be a perfect time to announce that I'm coming back. So I feel like these two superstars, these 2 GOATs, their careers are very, very similar in a lot of different ways. And I thought that it was no coincidence that LeBron James shows that he's over 35 and is the first NBA player to ever have multiple 50-point games. And he does it in the same week. And he does it at such a high level. It's such at a high field goal shooting percentage that Tom Brady's like, man, this is, that's it. I'm sold. I'm going back. So I do feel bad for LeBron James. I worry for him sometimes when he's on the court. And I mean, you saw after these 50-point games, they have to rest him because his knees and his body is breaking down. So one thing that is definitely undefeated is Father Time. And you just hope that these guys just keep on going as long as they can. But you do in the back of your mind worry that there might be one play that rips all the quality of life for them away in the future. But if it's not going to happen to any guys, then two guys that I would pick would be Tom Brady and LeBron James.
Sure, absolutely. Now look at LeBron James' body of work, right? He has won a chip with.
I thought you were about to say, look at his body. Look at his body.
Let's look. I mean, he's just continues to just blow my mind in the way that he's done it. I'm 48 years old, but guys like Tom Brady can come back and do it and get it done and start under center. These games could not be any different, right? Let's just call it what it is. The NFL and the NBA are two completely different animals. You play more with one set of physicality and a whole set of athleticism associated with what your current role and position is. However, on the other side of that coin, when you look at Tom Brady, he's using his mind, he's using his arms, he's using his legs a little bit. Obviously, never really that much anyway.
Barely. I make a joke that they could literally wheel Tom Brady out there in a wheelchair and he would still have great numbers
because he 4 touchdowns on you from a wheelchair because he
doesn't even need legs. I mean, he could have prosthetics and he could be out there doing. I mean, seriously, Tom Brady is amazing.
He's just that good. But these guys have a lot in common. I don't know if they know that they do. I don't even know if they're friends on Twitter, but if not, they should be. LeBron, meet Tom, LeBron. Nice to meet you. But no, I mean, a lot of great things you could say about LeBron James, what he's done, Tom Brady about the things that he's done, the things that both these guys have accomplished are just absolutely phenomenal. You put that combined, it's just insane in the membrane. This is Rudy Reyes on the Hot Minutia. Barry Long II here joins me.
Yes.
There's a lot of great things going on, especially in the league. I want to stay with quarterbacks. You had alluded to Mitchell Trubisky. And, of course, I've always been hard on Mitch Trib, as I like to call him, because he was involved in a system under Matt Nagy, head coach for the Chicago Bears. Okay, now look, I understand that Bears fans may not be – they probably have gotten over it by now, the fact that Mitch Trubisky went to serve up as a backup for Josh Allen there in Buffalo. But the fact alone that Mitch is one of the more consistent guys whenever he's got an opportunity on the field. But think about this. Put this into perspective. When he played in Chicago, Matt Nagy did not know how to run an offense. And if I met Matt Nagy, I'd probably tell him the same exact thing. And you can't do with what he did with guys like Justin Fields either. That's why Matt Nagy is gone. And deservedly so. It's a whole new regime, a new system, as you would expect, man. Coaches come in and they just start cleaning house and they start calling it a day with all these aged players, so on and so forth. And it's free to see frenzy. So no big surprise here. Mitch Trubisky decides to have an opportunity to be a starter for a different team, different division, but also plays alongside of a draft order that he was a part of. So it really stands to reason that when you look at Mitch Trubisky, he has good insight. I want to see what he does under Matt Canada's offense is what I really want to see. But it's a 2-year deal. He does have incentives associated with it. Could ultimately mean $27 million for the young Mitch Trubisky. Actually, not really so young. He's a few years away from being 30 years old. But after Ben Roethlisberger retired, there really wasn't an answer in regards to who was going to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
When you look at Haskins, he was brought over for overall number 1 pick by the Washington Redskins. That didn't quite work out too well. Josh Dobbs, drafted out of Tennessee. He's seen limited play time. He found himself back in Tennessee at one point last couple years ago, in fact, reacquired because of injuries to Ben Roethlisberger. That's when they went through the quarterback by committee. Excuse me. And so, and you still have Mason Rudolph. None of this is going to change until you get to training camp, and that is where the rubber meets the road. Because if you can contribute and be that main guy, you're going to show it and you're going to exhibit it. I think that Mitch Trubisky has learned under Brian Daboll so much intricate, detailed quarterback play that he's seen from Josh Allen on the sidelines that makes him a more viable candidate than Jimmy Garoppolo, who did not have that tutelage, by the way. Not to suggest that Mike Shanahan didn't know what he was doing. However, he didn't have another quarterback who was just as absolutely fantastic outside of Josh Allen that he played under last year. So he gives you a better opportunity than Mason Rudolph. He may give you better opportunity than Dwayne Haskins. And obviously he's played a lot more than Josh Dobbs. So in the games that he did start, he did pretty darn good. I mean, there were some touchdowns. He did it with his legs at one point. So I think this is a viable restart for a guy who's been looking for a place to call home. And I think Pittsburgh is the right place for him.
I absolutely agree. And, when you look at the quarterbacks that they had, like you just named off, Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, Joshua Dobbs. Now, even though Joshua Dobbs has been known to be a mobile quarterback in the past, especially in Tennessee, Dwayne Haskins never been associated with being mobile. Joshua Dobbs, anybody could argue that Mitchell Trubisky has a better track record of being mobile and a thrower of the football better than Joshua Dobbs, especially at this level. And Mason Rudolph as well. I mean, when you look at Mitchell Trubisky's numbers, he has 64 touchdowns and 38 interceptions. He played with not that great of receivers. He played with not that great of an O-line. He played with a hell of a defense. I mean, probably had the top defense at the time. But he played with a lot of pre-snap motion. And when you brought up with Matt Canada being the offensive coordinator there in Pittsburgh, Matt Canada that's one of the main things that his offense is predicated on is pre-snap motion. So when you put Mitchell Trubisky in a system in which he's thrived in the past, you put him around a similar team that he had before, where he was 29-21 as the starter for the Chicago Bears. So he's done well. He's had some success under Matt Nagy, albeit. Okay, so I just feel like this is going to be a really good landing spot for him when you got a dominant defense like Pittsburgh has been proven and been improving every single year. I mean, they're just dominant on each level.
Of the year, the other side of the ball with TJ Watt, Cam Hayward sitting right next to you. So you have the viable components. Terrell Edmonds may have lost him. I interviewed him in the 2018 NFL draft, but to be honest with you, he's an after the fact kind of guy. Not to suggest he doesn't know how to ball out, because I've seen him do it. But the lapses in judgment and placement and where his body is in association with where that wide receiver and how he gets the ball down the field and when to cover the guy, it's just not there. So they need to do something. Obviously, free agency frenzy is upon us. There are some solid cornerbacks, not a ton, but don't forget this NFL draft is loaded. I mean, loaded. Minus the quarterbacks. All love to Malik and Kenny Pickett and all that. Okay, great, but there's not that many. However, offensive linemen, defense.
So let me ask you this as a Steelers fan now that you've got Trubisky. So somebody's gonna have to go. Dwayne Haskins is probably gone. Maybe Josh Dobbs is gone. I assume Mason Rudolph will get upset and not want to be there if Mitchell Trubisky does become the starter. But I think Mitchell Trubisky is the starter from day one. From the day he walks into the training camp. I know he signed a 2-year deal. But I think that this could end up potentially being a long-term, not just a stopgap kind of quarterback. This could, especially with the leadership that Mike Tomlin has. If you are the front office of Pittsburgh, and let's say you do get rid of 2 of those quarterbacks that you have right now, Mitchell Trubisky is your starter. Do you still go out and pick a Kenny Pickett if he's right there, right on the draft board?
Yes. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Absolutely. And here's a lot of reasons why. First of all, he gets to learn under a guy who knows what it's like to be a backup, and that is not only Dwayne Haskins, not only Mason Rudolph, and of course Mitchell Trubisky. Now, for all that,
that's just a backup room,
right?
Man.
Right. It's all about the backup. It's like that. It's like the 101 traffic. Yeah, southbound. You don't want to head north, but at that point, you'll have the backup. There's no doubt about it. But he's going to learn a lot from these guys. This isn't a Ben Roethlisberger situation. This isn't a Tom Brady situation. These are 3 guys right now who are on equal playing field. And I take nothing away from Josh Dobbs because he could be a part of that as well. But at the end of the day, you trade off Josh Dobbs. You keep Haskins, put him in the practice squad. Then you have Mason Rudolph as a perennial backup. And I'm not going to say that Mason Rudolph's been all that horrible because he's shown glimpses of being able to get better. The problem is he's had a lot of time to do it. and has done nothing with it relatively compared to Ben Roethlisberger coming out of Miami of Ohio, absolutely nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Ohio nowhere, named Miami, not named Florida. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of reasons why I think Mitch Trubisky has a bigger chip on his shoulder than even Mason Rudolph has, even though he's been under Ben Roethlisberger and he knows this system. And the bottom line is that I think Mitch Trubisky will be the perennial starter for this team headed into the season.
Yeah, and I think it could last a lot longer than 2 years if he does perform well. And like I just mentioned, his numbers are not that bad. He's got a lot of criticism, and his numbers are really not that bad. 64 touchdowns and 38 interceptions. I know a lot of NFL teams that would take that right now. so we wish the best for Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, he's been through a lot of ups and downs after being a number 2 overall draft pick who kind of shot up to stardom and then kind of just fell from grace. And then he's, like you said, he's gotten a lot of
Matt Nagy.
Yeah. Matt Nagy will do that to you. Matt Nagy will do that to you. Let's
move on to death.
He'll nag you to death. Well, let's move on to a wide receiver who hasn't nagged people to death. He's been on the sidelines and he's been quiet. He's been very humble at this team that he's been on. They have failed to live up to expectations, the Cleveland Browns, for so many years. Baker Mayfield, a lot of people, he's one of the most polarizing figures that we have at the quarterback position in this league right now. A lot of people feel like he's not ready. He's not there. He's never going to be the good starter that a lot of people projected him to be. And a lot of people feel differently. They think that he's been injured and he's not had a fair shake. Well, one thing I can tell you is he's had a fair shake of weapons, and he was giving Odell Beckham Jr. and Austin Hooper and David Njoku and the running backs Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and Jarvis Landry, and you name it, he's gotten weapons. And he hasn't been able to get it done. Well, now it seems like that once original dream team has now come to an end. Jarvis Landry is expected to be released by the Browns. There are a number of teams that are interested in picking up Jarvis Landry via free agency. They have also made a move and gone out and acquired Amari Cooper to kind of hold over, things until everything gets better. So Amari Cooper is now expected to be on the Browns. He got traded for a 5th-round draft pick, and the Browns and Cowboys swapped a 6th-round draft pick. So Amari Cooper, like we always like to say, got traded for a ham sandwich, a turkey sandwich. The price of ham's going up. The price of beef's going up. The only thing that's not going
bread.
Yeah, the price of everything's going up except turkey. I don't know why, because people don't really like turkey. Turkey bacon is just like a belt with salt on it.
Well, Landry is no turkey. Okay,
he's no turkey. He got
that guy has been balling out. It's a bag of Skittles and a ham sandwich.
Amari got traded for a ham sandwich. They let Jarvis Landry go for nothing.
Yeah, but they could have gotten they could have gotten Landry something from him by
absolutely
from another team. The problem that I have is that Amari Cooper has gotten every quarterback paid for every team that he's been on. He got Dak Prescott paid. Yes. He's got every quarterback he's played with paid. Now, with that
Derek Carr, he got Derek Carr paid.
Yeah, Derek Carr paid too. Now, here's the thing. Landry is a guy who has done it all. I met him at the 2018 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Sports Awards, who has been extremely consistent and was obviously very, very nice and had time to interview me despite his agent basically shuttering me down, saying, no, we're done with this. But at the end of the day, Jarvis Landry, great guy. I think he has not – it's not him. It's not a him situation. It's about Baker Mayfield in his situation. And the fact alone that Baker Mayfield cannot stay healthy, he has a torn labrum. He showed it last year, but when he knows how to ball out, you can see Baker Mayfield ball out. The problem that I have with Baker Mayfield is that it's going to be almost the same thing with the labrum surgery that he's going to have if he hasn't already had. Actually, I believe he did. And now he's just under recovery mode. But when you see guys like Jarvis Landry lead the building, Amari Cooper coming in, if you want to throw up the money signs, there's your money. because
So you mean to tell me that because he got Derek Carr paid
Amari Cooper
and Dak Prescott, two guys that I could automatically argue are way overpaid, you're saying that he's going to get Baker Mayfield? Yep. He's like the leprechaun, bro.
Cash, baby. He's the cash.
He's the leprechaun. Follow Amari Cooper to the pot of gold.
That's it. That's exactly who Amari Cooper is.
I love that
He's done
theory.
it. He'll continue doing it again, and he's going to do it again this year.
Well, I need Amari Cooper to come get traded to my team because I need my product. We need Amari Cooper on the Hot Minutia.
Somewhere, yeah. Well, you never know. I'll have to contact Jarvis Landry and see what he thinks about coming on the show.
Wow.
But, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, the Cleveland Browns are still just the Browns. And I take nothing away from what they've done in the offseason in years past. This one obviously is still far from done because free agency frenzy is still there. You still have the NFL draft forthcoming. So there's a lot of different types of options for everybody. Thank you very much, Maria, for that energy boost. Drink them if you got them. Drink them if you got them. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that Baker Mayfield's going to get paid because Amari Cooper is on the team, and he's going to be the insurance blanket. He's going to be insurance blanket for Baker Mayfield as well.
He sure is, and he's been very good. Even with the Cowboys, he's been very good. He just was a little bit overpaid. A lot of people thought 5-year deal for $100 million, and they just needed space. They got to pay Dak Prescott, like you said. They've got other needs that they have to address right now. So it just seems that Amari Cooper is out there.
Needs too.
Yeah.
He's going to pay extra child support.
Now, real quick, we did find out last week, Rudy Reyes, this is the Hot Minutia, by the way. Real quick, we found out that Deshaun Watson, there will be no criminal charges. Now, he is expected to meet with multiple teams, the Panthers and the Saints. What do you think about that? And what do you think is the best fit for Deshaun Watson moving forward?
He met with the Saints. And I'll tell you what, Deshaun Watson reminds me so much of a Drew Brees, and I can see him in that uni right now, dropping bombs in the end zone and putting together some fantastic play action. Now, again, I don't know that he's ready. I don't know that he's in shape, but I know this much. He has got the weaponry and is on his right arm. And it's something that he has shown the Texans time and time again. Fans loved him prior to the expose or a lack thereof, or take the depends on what side that you're on, whether you're on the left side of the massage bed or the right.
Doesn't matter what side you're on. He exposed himself.
Yeah, regardless of what side you're on, the front, the back, the sides, it doesn't matter. That's what happened. So at the end of the day, this is where I believe that he's going to land there. He could land also in Carolina. I like Carolina. I know they have a somewhat better defense, at least on the outside for edge rushers. But at the end of the day, when you watch last year what the defense did for the New Orleans Saints, just shutting down top teams, just shutting them down with the pass rush and the fire blitz. I mean, it was on display. So if you want better field position, you go with the New Orleans Saints. If you want somewhat decent field position and you want some up-and-coming guys, maybe CMC does stay after all. Maybe they find a way to restructure his contract. That remains to be seen as well. But at the end of the day, I believe he'll end up with New Orleans.
And I like that. I like that a lot as well. My only issue with him ending up in New Orleans is that Sean Payton just retired too soon, man. Damn. It's like if he would have just stayed, they already have a coach, Dennis Allen, who's going to step up from the defense and become the head coach. I don't think Sean Payton wants to come and rip that job away from him back again just to get a Deshaun Watson. But you got to think that he retired prematurely, or he must know somewhere with a star that's going to be opening up a head coaching vacancy pretty soon, and he'll end up there. But yeah, I like him being on the Saints. I think it's a perfect fit. I think it's going to be fun to watch, and I think that defense and Michael Thomas coming back, oh my goodness, the floodgates could open down there. So we'll continue to watch where Deshaun lands. Wherever he lands, we just hope it's not in a massage parlor. Real quick, let's show y'all the meme of the day one more time. We did it earlier.
Just make sure you lay down, Deshaun. Lay down. Lay down on your chest. Okay.
Tom Brady was with his wife and kids for 2 months, and then he decided he'd rather get attacked by a 340-pound lineman running 4.7 40-yard dashes than spend time with them. That's never going to get old. But yeah, real quick, let them know where they can find you at, Rudy Ramon Reyes.
Oh, you guys can find me at Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to therudedogshow.com where this episode will be posted. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you like it, love it, share it, please. We love it. We enjoy it. And thank you very much for tuning in. Your comments are always welcome. So if you got something to say, you got something on your chest, you want to ask some questions, just shoot. Just make sure you don't have your blinders on when you do, and tell Deshaun Watson to lay down on his chest.
What did Dave Chappelle say?
I think he'll be okay.
When he was the Prince, shoot the J, shoot it. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can find me on IG at Barry Long II. You can find me on Facebook at Barry Long, the way it's spelled right here. We are the Hot Minutia. We appreciate all the comments from Elizabeth and Commercia and Maria. We will be back tomorrow talking more stuff. Make sure y'all just stick around for a little bit if y'all still watching and watch and see the new intro / outro. This is the Hot Minutia. We will see y'all tomorrow. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey, remember, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember you're capable of doing anything.
You can do it all.
Peace.